guys, welcome to my channel. I'm the Savvy Daughter and I hope y'all are having a great day. I want to talk to you guys today about compost. If y'all are thinking about maybe starting a garden, or even if you're just trying to grow some pretty flowers, if you're really trying to grow any type of plant, compost is an excellent tool to have. I'm here today to tell you that you can have a compost. Whether you have a big yard, whether you have no yard at all, you can absolutely make compost on your own. It's not confusing and it doesn't need to be complicated in the slightest. So come along with me. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that I myself have composted. One way, you have to have just a little bit of room in your yard, and the other way, you could do this if you lived in an apartment, you had a balcony, or absolutely anywhere. In a garage, you could make compost. So come along with me today. I want to show you two ways that I've made compost and that y'all can do it too, no matter what space you have. The first way that I compost, and my main source of compost comes from my compost pile. If y'all have watched my channel for really any time at all, you've probably seen my compost pile, but basically this is exactly what its name says it is. It's where I dump all of my scraps, all of the dead leaves, all of the grass clippings, all of the potting soil and dead plants that I get from my family's nursery. All of that goes into this compost pile and it literally just sits here. You know, people make compost so many different ways, and there are a lot of people that like to pour like a lot of time and energy into making excellent compost, and that's fantastic if y'all want to do that. But you know, people like to turn their compost like every 2 days, and they like to add specific ingredients to make sure that it's the best it can possibly be, and that's fantastic. But I don't want to pour that much time into making compost. So instead, I just take my scraps, dump it here. It never gets turned. I never water it. It's not anything like specific. It just is whatever I have at the time. I don't know. I'm not saying it's the best compost in the world, but it seems like it's worked pretty well to me. I've already used it in my strawberry mound this season, and I've used it to fill up my raised bed that I built on this channel a few weeks ago. So I think it's worked pretty well, and it's a super simple way to make compost. All you need is a small yard. My family lived in a subdivision for years, and growing up when I was little, my dad always made compost this way, just in a pile. So this is a really simple way that you can make compost, just dumping all your scraps in a pile. You don't really have to do anything to it whenever you need compost. Like, this has been sitting here for about a year, and already I have ready-made compost in the middle of this pile after I just take the top layer off. So this is a simple way to make compost that y'all can try with a small yard. Now, the second type of composting that I've tried in the last year is bucket composting. And again, it is exactly what its name says it is. Basically, I took a 5-gallon bucket, drilled a couple of holes in the bottom so that water would drain out, and then added all of the kitchen scraps, a little bit of straw, some leaves, a little bit of soil that I could get my hands on, mixed it all up in this bucket, and it's been sitting for about a year. It's not 100% decomposed yet, but it's doing excellently. And I would love to just like take a tomato and stick it down in this compost and see what happens, because I'm sure it would grow really wildly. Like, I really like how this is turning out, even though you can still see some straw that's not completely decomposed, but it's really good. It's really good soil, and it's only taken a year. Composting doesn't have to take a really long time. Even if you just leave it alone, it doesn't have to take a really long time. Mine has taken about a year, and it's doing well. So the reason I wanted to show you this bucket compost is because you can have a bucket compost just about anywhere. I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing it in your house. I thought about that the other day. I thought about, like, before I made this video, I thought, oh, maybe I could even like demonstrate having a compost in your tiny house or something. But when you first start making a bucket compost, all of your kitchen scraps, you know, that rot really don't smell very good. So I wouldn't recommend doing it in your house. I'm sure you could, but I would recommend doing it on a balcony, in a garage, wherever you want to. I mean, you could make a bucket compost if you have a big yard as well. But I'm just saying this to say that no matter what kind of room you have, you can have a compost. And you can also have a garden. You know, I've seen and heard of some people doing incredible things with growing vegetables or plant starts, whatever, on apartment balconies. People are really creative, and they've designed some amazing like setups to where people grow like incredible amounts of plants in small spaces. And in the same way, you can make quite an amount of compost if you want to in a small space. So I'm just kind of showing this to y'all today to give you an idea that like y'all can do this, and it's really not hard. Perhaps my very favorite part about composting is that you really don't have to do very much because nature just decomposes on its own. All you have to do is concentrate a bunch of medium into one place and then let it sit there, and nature does what it does, and you end up with some great plant-rich material that helps plants grow really well. You get it for free and your plants will thank you for it. So that's why if y'all are thinking about starting a garden or anything, I think it would be wise to start a compost as well. It's not that you absolutely have to have a compost, but I can tell you from my experience that compost will absolutely help your plants do better than they would without it. So if y'all want to, start a compost. Even before my true garden season has begun, my compost has proved to be useful with my strawberries and with my raised bed. I filled up quite a bit of that raised bed with compost, and I've still got a little bit more work to do in it, but anyway, compost is extremely useful. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you found it helpful. Garden season is literally just around the corner. It might be that next week I'm planting my garden, or at least a large portion of it. So far I've just planted strawberries, and y'all probably saw that in my last video, but it might be that next week I'm able to plant like the whole garden, so I'm really excited about that. I've just got to get through the last frost, and tonight might be the very last frost in my area. It might be the last freeze of the season. So as soon as we get through that, I'm going to be ready to plant. I hope y'all will come along with me on the next video. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you on the next one.